How you doing?
I'm just so excited to see you live.
You're breaking up on me.
Okay, I was just saying that I'm very excited to see you live. We have been following each other for some time, and it's finally so nice to put a proper face, not like a face through reels or videos,
Yeah,
just like a proper face to the whole thing.
it's been a while. Yeah.
Yes, and I have to say that I'm a huge fan and admirer of your work. I was just telling somebody that I'm going live with this person that I really respect. I love what he writes and how the way he puts out what he feels, or it's for somebody else or whatever. I don't know, but it's just amazing. Like, I have deep respect for that work.
Thank you, thank you. It's not easy, but we gotta get it done. How's everything on your end of the world? I know it's what, Friday, right? It's Friday morning over there.
Yes, it's Friday morning. It's 9:13 right now.
Lucky you. It's
It's a
11:43 p.m.
it's it's a really hot day. We were having some good rains, and we are very happy and excited about that. Oh my God, it's not as bad. Usually, it's so
Okay.
humid, and we were like very excited that it's raining and it's quite nice. And suddenly, universe was like, "You guys are just doing too much comfort. Let me bring some sun out." So it's become really hot again.
Oh, okay. So, what we want to talk about today? Relationships, love. So, what do you do? I want you to tell everybody what do you do.
Okay, so I have, I guess, two personas. One is for LinkedIn, which is where I connect with corporates, and I do leadership development, I do top team alignment, I do conflict resolution. I don't like to use the word management. I don't like the word management at all. So things like conflict resolution, executive presence. So those are the kind of things I do with corporates.
Okay.
And the other persona that I also have is what I have on Instagram, because I do groups and I do one-on-one. So there has to be a certain demarcation and segregation over there to not, so that people are not confused. So then the second part is where I work as a healer and a personal transformation mentor, which is mostly about, till now at least, has been about one-on-one, helping people understand their histories, because I do believe that our answers are in our histories. So
Right.
helping people understand what is their history. And when I say history, I mean childhood, growing up years, your formative years. What was it
Mm.
like being you? What was your ecosystem? What was the environment? What were your relationships with the world, with people in your life? And how that has shaped you today. And if there is something that you feel like is a block, is an emotional wound, it's a challenge, it's a struggle right now as an adult, how can you take that away? How can you work on that? How can you heal that? And clarity, understanding. So yeah, basically it's esoteric, obviously, because it's almost like an umbrella where you can club I don't know how many things. When we talk about transformation and we talk about healing, I think literally everything pertaining to being a human you can just club under that umbrella. So yeah, that's
Okay.
what I do.
How many people you think you've helped throughout this time?
I have lost count because I have been doing it for what now, 6 years. And when I say lost count, because I do a lot of pro bono work also.
Okay.
So I have random people coming from random places. Like, I've met somebody once or twice, and I think I'm blessed by the universe with that. And somebody will like, I have a problem and can I talk to you? So I've done work like that. So I will work with them for a week or so, and I don't charge any money for that. So I honestly not don't really have a count, because I don't like to, when people say, somebody asked me today, so is it like a very professional life? I mean, is what are the commercials? I said, hello, this is for the love of it. There's no money here. This is totally for the absolute love of how passionately both of us feel about relationships and love, and we would like to talk about stuff and put it out there in the world for other people who follow us or who are involved with us to know that this is what happens. So I think, but the number has been great.
Okay.
I'm blessed that ways.
Well, I'm sure the people that you've helped are blessed too, because
I sure hope so. At least that's what I get told. I think I've had messages after 2, 3 years as well. I remember there was this person on Instagram, and he was almost suicidal.
Um,
And that day he was almost on the edge, and he messaged me, and we spoke that day through chat the entire day. I was with him. I didn't want to leave him alone, and we spoke, and so he felt better by the end of the day, and then we never spoke. He was in his own world, I was doing my own thing. After a year he came back and he said, thank you for saving my life that day.
wow.
And I'm so much better, and I hope someday you come and meet me in Bangalore, a city in India, and we can be face to face, and I can thank you properly. So I find it very interesting when people have a count of, I know professionally I get it, because people would want to have a number so that it's credibility, right? I have helped so many people, so many people. I get that. But somehow, even like keeping my work where I've charged, I don't like to keep account. So somehow, and like I see people like I'm on a mission of helping 1 million people or so many people. I'm one of those, as many as I can. Even if I can't go and count one conversation where somebody's like, this helped. I don't want to count that. So great. I mean, anybody I can be of help. And I do believe that whatever gift or talent we have, I think it's our human responsibility to share it with the world
Absolutely.
and to
Yes,
help
I agree.
other people through it. If we are not, then I don't know what are we doing.
That is true.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, whether you're an artist or whether you paint, you sing, you draw, you write, you're a sculptor or you're a performer, or you think you can help people through whatever you've gone through or some other form, whatever it is that you have, I think it's human responsibility to share it with the world and contribute back to the society and the world around.
I mean, yeah, because whatever you do, it's gonna either help somebody or inspire some. Obviously, gonna inspire somebody. So we're gonna be sharing that creativity and help heal the world in a way.
Yeah, like how you write, Carlos. I absolutely am in love with how you write and what you write. Somebody is having a tough day, and one particular day somebody goes and reads something that you have written, or somebody watches a video. We underestimate the power of that moment.
True. Yeah.
Somebody could really be down and beating themselves. One quote, one video, one reel could actually protect and save somebody in that moment. We underestimate the power of putting ourselves out there. I mean, in a constructive way, not in how do I say, not in a mindless way, but in a
Right.
mindful way.
I
I think
mean,
it's very, very
I mean,
important.
uh, the way I write, I've had people not come up to me, but message me and tell me, your message actually, your poem got me through a certain situation or got me through a divorce. So that kind of like inspired me to just keep going. I know it's not about money or it's just about my words being out there. Hopefully that if it touches one person, it it may it, that's the that's what I can ask for. You know,
I
one person.
totally understand. Yeah, totally. That's what I'm saying, that all of us need each other. We do need each other, and we are
Hmm.
always interconnected. So I think there's a lot of power in putting something constructive out there. You don't know who's getting helped. You have no idea.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. All right, so I got some questions for you.
Sure.
Are you ready?
Yes.
All right. So, what are some essential goals that couples should set together to strengthen their relationship?
I think I will take away the S from the goals, because I think the most important thing for people to have, or I don't know if we should call it goal. I think a vision and mission combined together should be growth. It's
Okay.
emotional, mental, psychological, spiritual, financial, uh, and health. I think it's very important that one thing, if you're set on that, you both agree that we gotta grow and we gotta help each other grow as well. I think that covers everything if you are committed to that. And a lot of times, the problems that come into relationships is because one person is exactly where they were, and the other person is growing. And I don't want to do this because it sounds like I'm putting one person down and the other person up.
Right.
But it's just, there is, like, so I would do this. I would rather do this than this, because I am evolving. I'm working on myself. I'm taking care of things internally, and the other person is, let's say, still externally focused, but happy there. And I respect that. It's completely okay. If somebody wants to be whatever they are and whoever they are, great for them. But if one person continues to grow and doesn't want to be who they were, I think that's what growth means, right?
Right.
You keep becoming different than what you were yesterday. That's what
You
growth is, right?
evolving. You evolve.
Yes. So if one person remains there and the other person is not, I think a lot of problems in relationships come because of that, because not the two people are not on the same page when it comes to growth. And then there is resentment, and then there is anger, and then there's distance, and there's doubt, and there's insecurity. So I think growth is one thing, and holistic growth. I think that is one goal, one mission, and one vision that both people should have, that to continue to deepen ourselves as individuals, and then continue to deepen ourselves as us. There is me, you, and then there is us. And
Define.
also,
Go ahead.
yeah, go on.
Define holistic growth for some readers.
So for me, holistic
Listeners.
growth is, when I say mental, am I stuck in the same way of thought process that I was yesterday?
Mhm.
Has my perspective shifted? Am I thinking differently? Am I thinking in a way which breeds better results in terms of construction? Does it bring more peace? Does it bring more clarity? Does it create something better for me and everybody involved with me? For me, that would be mental.
Okay.
When it comes to emotional, do I understand myself better? And is it helping me understand other people better? Am I able to emotionally show up in a way where whatever information my emotions has is again creating something constructive? Whether it's clarity, whether it's understanding, whether it's depth, where it is intimacy, whether it's connection, whatever it is. Am I emotionally in a place, or working on my emotions in a way where it helps me elevate, it helps me help the other person elevate? uh, Physically, I think it's very important, and it's all interconnected, though mind, body, soul, everything is interconnected. But
Right.
I think it's very important to be very cautious of how we are treating our bodies. I'm somebody who thought I love myself physically, but I later realized I had a lot of body shame. I had body issues, and I had shame around my body, which was weird to other people, but I knew deep inside, when I faced it, I realized. So I think working on all those aspects, uh, making sure you're eating well, and this also sometimes creates problems, right? I'm eating well, I'm conscious about eating, the other person is not, and you're
Well, I
living in
don't
the
eat
same house,
well.
you're one team, right? So yeah, that also happens. So I think working out, taking care of yourself physically, not because I want to be sexy and hot and stuff, but I want to take care of a, a place, which is my body, where I reside. That's my home. So that kind of mindset, I think, is very important. When I say spiritual, to be able to understand life overall in better, so that, again, like I say, how am I showing up? What is my energy like? Am I working on myself energetically? Am I able to be that person who's able to, again, uplift myself, and through that is contributing in some way or the other? I just don't want to say uplifts, because you just can't help everyone.
Right.
But am I showing up as an energy spiritually, where I practice more kindness, compassion, empathy, stuff like that, connection, forgiveness. So, and financially, of course, we are supposed to love money. People, I don't know, have a lot of, I had that too, but yeah, worked on that. So I think, and make good money together, work, have your financial goals, talk about that, and grow there also, have a good life together. So for me, holistic growth would be having all these components together, and defining for each other also, that this is what it looks like for me, because it can look like different things. As long as people are growing, it's okay. Maybe how I want to grow spiritually looks different to somebody else. Let's say my partner. I could define spirituality in a different way. He could be. But as long as people decide to grow and continue to show up better, more constructive. So I think for me, that would be holistic growth. Taking all the components of human existence. What does it mean to be human? Taking care of all of that. For me, I think that would be holistic growth.
So, in other words, there'll be aligning your mind, heart, and soul together.
Yes.
The alignment of the Holy Trinity.
Yes. Absolutely. Yes.
All right, cool. I mean, I agree with that because nowadays a lot of relationships they don't have goals, or if they do, one person has stronger goals than the other one, and the other one is it's never like a level. It's always like up and down. One is more involved than the other one, and I think that's something that affects a lot of the relationship right now because there's no compromising or understanding that if the to me I don't know to me, but if the other person is not as evolved as you, then maybe you should try to understand them and see what level they're on so you could meet them there or help them evolve with you if they're willing to evolve.
Exactly. Yes.
Well, what do you say if a person is not willing to evolve in a relationship while the other one is evolved? What do you suggest for that?
In that case, I think the first and most important factor that comes
Do,
between
do you
two
think
humans.
do you
Yeah.
think love overrides that or compromising, or is this like should we just
I
abandon the relationship?
No, I think the first question to ask yourself is, am I the person who can respect somebody who is showing up differently than I am? Am I judgmental about it? Or is it a deal breaker for me? So I think if you start with respect, something gets sorted there. The moment you're like, yes, I can accept it and respect, I don't have resistance towards the fact that why isn't he behaving like this or she behaving like that? Or in my head, they are not growing. Am I judgmental about that? So once you sort that out, if you are somebody who's able to respect it, and the way you deal with this also is an indicator or is a mirror how much you have also grown. So let's
Hmm.
say if you are somebody, if you have developed a spiritual ego, right, and you're
Right.
like, I'm better than this person and I have grown, you can be frustrated for sure that I can see this is not working out for you, and why won't you make the change? That is not ego. Ego is thinking that an unhealthy spiritual ego would be, you know what, I think I'm better than you because I'm evolving, I'm reading these books and I'm watching the podcast and I'm doing the inner work and all that stuff. Can you respect somebody who is where they are at? And I think then it's very important to have a conversation and first try and find a middle ground.
Hmm.
Is it possible for us to coexist in a way where you are okay with the way I am leading certain things about myself, and I am going to be okay with certain things that you are leading about yourself,
Right.
and it doesn't come in our way, it doesn't hinder our progress, it doesn't thwart our relationship also. So I think those conversations are very important to understand that this is where I am at,
Yep.
this is where you are at, and how do we find a way where both of us can coexist, continue to love each other, and continue to show up also for each other. If And there are cases, Carlos, where the other person is just adamant. Let's say the one who thinks is evolved and the one who thinks, I don't need to do this, I'm okay the way I am. If there is adamancy there, if there's stubbornness there, and the person says that, deal breaker, I don't want to shift, I don't want to change, I can't respect that, it is a problem for me. I think those are the cases, if this situation has prolonged, where people should then do an audit and see whether uh, is it really healthy for the two people to be together.
Hmm.
Because if it's not, divorce is quite a stigma. But I think it's okay for two people to go separate ways if they are not being able to grow together, if they are not really, really happy. And happiness is not like I'm happy and joyful all the time,
Right.
but yeah, just like peace in the heart, and where you know that things happen, but we are in a good place.
Right.
And I want to point out another thing also, that no matter who you meet, you leave this one person, you go to find another person, there will be challenges. There will be different kind of
That's right.
challenges. There will always be struggles. There will always be challenges. You just need to have enough conversations and give enough time to the entire thing to see that is this the person I want to continue to work with? Are these the challenges and struggles that I am ready to accept? Because this whole concept, people think that there is a perfect person out there. There is no perfect person. You create that
Bingo.
perfection for each other.
Yep.
It's created.
That's right.
You
Yep.
you will hate each other in times. You will be frustrated with each other. You won't be able to stand each other at
Yep.
times. But even in those times, over here in your core, do you know that this is the person I want to be with? I and people mess up. People do big mistakes. I have done those. But are you ready
We
to
all have.
own up to that, come back together, work through them, and know this is the person I want to be with. This is where I want to be. So I think divorce is something that should happen when you know that now I love this person enough to know that I'm not able to contribute. So that is the time when people can think of whether it's a not a marriage or a relationship and people want to part ways and go separate ways. But I think before that, we should do everything in our power to try and see if we can create something better out of it than what it is today.
So I
It
think
shouldn't be like this happens and I'm running. I'm done.
so. We could both agree that communication is the number one key in a relationship.
Yes. I'll point out another thing, very interesting thing. Some A lot of times both the people are not having the same conversation. I'm probably having an emotional
That's true.
conversation and the other person is having a logical conversation.
Yeah.
So I think it's very important to be really vulnerable and strip down and be naked and tell each other, this is what I'm experiencing right now. This is what I want from you. That is why it's not working. And these things take time.
It's
The,
hard. It's
it's
hard. It's hard nowadays to be vulnerable. I mean, not for me. I'm a very vulnerable guy. I'm very vulnerable. You can see in my writing.
yes,
But for a lot
yes.
of people, it's hard because the way they were raised, the way they were taught. You can't tell everybody what you feel. You gotta hide your pain. You can't cry. So it's very hard nowadays for people to be vulnerable. And you have to be though. There's a must to have a successful relationship.
You can't have a connection without vulnerability.
Hmm.
Otherwise, it's something floating on the superficial level. You want a connection, be it a peer, be it a colleague, be it a friend, a sibling, a parent, a lover, a spouse, friends. You have to be vulnerable. Otherwise, there's no connection.
Yep.
Otherwise, you just have name of the relationship. You don't really have a relationship.
Yeah. You have just a title. I'm in a relationship.
Yes,
And that's it.
you could be married to for 30 years and you still probably are not connected to each other.
I've seen people married for, I think the one I saw was 20 something years, and there was nothing there. And it was sad
Yes.
because they lived, they lived together for so long, and they show everybody that they're in a relationship, they're married, blah, blah, blah. But I mean, I'm a good person, I'm a good reader, I can read people's eyes and stuff like that. So you can see the pain in one of the partners in their eyes. I'm like, wow, like, they really like, what's going on? So I start analyzing the whole thing and how they interact. And I'm like, this is crazy. 20 something years together. I mean, for what? Just give it up. Like, go separate ways. Why are you gonna be? To me, that's being a hypocrite. That's just to me. I don't know. I wouldn't do that. I mean, I was in my last relationship. It was a time that I just didn't feel it, and we spoke about it, and I said I just don't feel it. Why am I gonna be a hypocrite and try to be with somebody that I'm not feeling it? We went our separate ways, and I think it was for the best of both of us. You know, I'm sure she's happy right now wherever she's at, and I'm being me.
I
So
think that's also the respectful way to go about it, also. But you know, Carlos, what I've experienced is that we are primarily creatures of habit and convenience.
hmm
So I was talking to somebody in the gym yesterday, and he's like, "But marriage has its purpose," and I got very intrigued because I kind of knew what's coming. So I was like, "What is that?" He's like, "You need to have somebody when you grow old." I said, "Wow, amazing reason to get
yeah,
married and stay married." So I think at the core of it, a lot of people, I think most people are like, it's it's not a relationship. I think it's it's a sort of a semi-partnership where you're like, you know what, there's a convenience coming from you, there's convenience coming from me, and we have a societal standing also as a couple. It protects us, saves us, brings us convenience, and yeah, great. Let's just do that. Let's continue to play the game. I think
Right.
for a lot of people, it's that.
Yeah, and that, and also I think a lot of people have gone through so much pain in their relationships, so they're used to something temporary. And see, when you end up, to me, I don't know if I have this question. I don't think I have, but when you end a relationship, or when you depart ways in a relationship with somebody, you need a time to heal, and a lot of people don't do that. So what they do is they just find their healing in somebody else, and they keep going to the next relationship, and to the next relationship, and they just keep creating the same problems over and over and over and over. So it's like I was telling in last 2 weeks ago in another podcast I was on. I was telling them it's a revolving door. You just keep going. You have to just step back, and heal. Learn to love yourself. You have to respect yourself in a way that you want somebody else to respect you. Because if you don't love yourself or respect yourself, how do you expect somebody else to do it for you to you? You know, that's the way I would do it. I could
I,
be wrong. I don't know. You're
I
the expert in this.
completely agree. Totally agree there. Yes.
All right, so I got a next one. Let's see. What role does vulnerability play in fostering a deeper commitment between partners?
I think we've just already been talking
Yeah,
about
that's
it.
pretty much that's all. Yeah.
Yes,
So let's do.
um, I think for me, vulnerability is definitely risk and risk of emotional exposure and getting hurt and stuff. But I think if you go a little deeper, vulner- vulnerability is about letting the other person see you in the entirety of who you are.
Hmm.
All good stuff, not good stuff, all the feelings that you have, all the thoughts that you have. And how do you expect the other person? You have to take that chance. How do you expect someone else to see you and then understand you and then know how to show up for you unless and until they know who you are,
Right.
how you are, why you are the way you are, and what is it that you need?
Sometimes that takes time, and that could be months, years.
Yes,
It could be a long time before you get to know somebody. And
exactly. But I think it's a lack of vulnerability. If so, I have always been this person. I'm like, so when I like somebody, and when I think that there is something there, so I'm all out there because I think it's also for me, respect is, I think, an underlying thing for everything. I think if you want to build a connect, let's say I've met somebody and I think we can be good friends. So now I want to form a relationship. I want to have a connection, but I'm holding
mm,
back. I don't let the other person know who am I, and I'm not asking enough questions. I don't have curiosity to find out, to go in the depths of the other person also. How do I expect to have a proper, genuine, real friendship or a connection or a relationship? I'm not going to have it.
do you think being too vulnerable hurts the relationship?
I think, yes, I do think that not every thought. So I don't think so your thoughts are good or bad. Your thoughts are just thoughts. And we all end up having really dark thoughts
Of
sometimes.
course.
I don't like labels, but yeah, just to explain, we all end up having really dark thoughts and we all have our fears and insecurities. I think that is why I think emotional and spiritual growth is very important, to understand that, is this something that's actually happening? This thought that's coming, is this coming from some place of reality, from place of truth, or
Well,
is it stemming from a fear and insecurity that's just in my head? And then to take the decision of sharing that or not. I think this is I think this is just a very important thing. Uh, there's a writer in India called Shobha De. She once wrote a book, and she's a very controversial writer. So she wrote a book, and in that book, she wrote that 100% transparency in a marriage is sure short way of destroying it. And I think
well,
that's for every relationship. You need to learn, if you A, take time to understand the other person, B, You need to, because now if you're able to see the person, let's say whatever amount this is, whatever degree you can see the person,
Right.
you have to be you have to be smart, intelligent, and kind enough. I also would want to bring kindness over here. You have to be kind enough to know that is this a thought, an idea, a perspective that I need to share with this person? Is it going to bring something constructive and good out of it? Is it going to deepen our connection?
That's uh-huh.
Or is it just going to create
Hinder.
problems
Right.
that do not need to be there in the first place?
Right.
Let's say, so I have battled insecurity in my relationship.
Mm-hmm.
And because I came from a dysfunctional family,
Mm-hmm.
never had a childhood. So when you get married, uh, you think like this is your world and you want to hold on to it. I had my, now when I look back and I was like, none of that was real. And I and every thought I would share because I want to feel better. I want to put it out there and I want to tell this person that that's what I'm feeling. Probably you're doing something like that or something is happening. But in reality, I didn't have that emotional intelligence. I didn't have that emotional maturity, that depth. I wasn't doing any inner work. I was absolutely ignorant and unaware. So
See, but
I didn't have the means, the tools, or the understanding and depth to question my own self.
right.
I think it's very important to question yourself and see whatever am I going to say? Is it constructive? Is it going to deepen our relationship? Is it going to bring us closer? Is it, and also is it kind? A lot of times, I think it's important to refrain from saying things that are not kind.
So you advise that you should refrain from saying everything in a
Yeah,
relation.
I think I find it, and I hope I am not offending anybody who even
No,
watches
I don't
it
think
later.
so.
I find it absolute nonsense where this whole romanticism around this thing, oh, I can say anything to this person. And I'm like, do you realize how disrespectful that is? That you can just say anything to this person? Where is the boundary here? Where's the
Yes.
respect here?
Yep. Yep.
That's an individual, and you need, maybe something is okay with you, or maybe you want to satisfy your fear and your insecurity in this moment. What about the damage it could cause to this person, or the damage that it could
To
cause
the
to your
relationship,
relationship in the
it
long run?
it will.
What about
It
that?
will. It will.
Are you
It
being
definitely will.
intelligent about it? Are you being empathetic about it? Are you being kind about it? I think those
Because
are the
I
questions that people really need to ask. So, like, I'm somebody, if there's a problem in any kind of relationship, I need to take a step back. I always take my time, I become quiet. It's not a form of silent treatment abuse or something. I want to be sure. I always take my time and I'm always sure, want to be sure that the issue that I'm addressing, A, do I have the correct language now? Do I have a kind, objective language now to address this issue? I'm not emotionally charged. And B, is it really important for me to address this issue? Can I like just let it go
hmm
and understand it's not important? And if I'm not able to let this go, it's important to, let's say, just me also. Am I able to speak to the other person in a language which is objective, kind, and is sensible?
right.
So I think that those are the things that everybody is supposed to do. This whole romanticism of, like, it's good for poetry. It gives us
That's it.
hope. It really
Yeah.
gives us hope.
hmm
Yes, it makes us come alive. But when it comes to relationships, I think it's very important to get real,
I agree.
that you are dealing with another human being. It's a live, living, throbbing person.
Because um, a lot of people I even it's even happened to me in my past relationship when they ask when they ask questions and I have to hold back. I'm like, all right, should I answer this? Because I kind of like see how it's gonna play out. It's gonna go into a negative way. But oh, you gotta tell me everything. You gotta be the truth. You gotta tell me the truth. I need to know everything about the relationship about you. I'm like, okay, you want to hear it? Okay, I'll tell you how it is. And obviously, it ends the relationship. It really does, because even towards me, because I was in a relationship once and I didn't ask a question, and they just told me everything, and I'm like, that's too much info. In my mind, I'm like, that's too much info, and that made me, like think about it, like, do I really want to be in this relationship? Because now I'm like, shit, you know, maybe I'm not. I'm trying to now. I'm as a human being, as a guy. I'm comparing myself to their past. Am I gonna be better in a relationship than their exes, or what's going on? So it's true, and it messes up your mind. It does. Hmm.
It does, because after all, we are human beings and we come from different backgrounds, different ways of living, operating, and showing. And this whole thing, it's like, as I said, I live for poetry. I love all that romanticism. But in reality, you can't melt into each other. You can't become one entity. You can become one team, which is actually the foundation of good relationships. But you are two individuals who are making a team. So the
Right.
individuality doesn't go away. So I always say that once you have awareness, then discernment is your golden word. Use
Right.
your discernment. And that is why I say it's very important to grow emotionally and spiritually. I think then your mental growth gets sorted a lot if you're growing and working on yourself emotionally and spiritually, because then discernment comes easy to you.
True.
Then you
Yeah.
can,
I think that.
then it's easy to operate from that.
Right. I see Alex in italics wrote, acceptance is everything. You have to be able to accept yourself. Until you reach that point, you can't accept anyone else fully. And you'd be remiss to even think that you should be accepted. That's very true.
Love
What do you,
that.
right?
Love that. How true is that? I love how everybody has such amazing wisdom about something or the other. I absolutely love it, the point
Well,
of views that people come
I
with.
think it's because a lot of people experience a lot of crap in their past. That's what the case. So
I agree.
smart people able to learn and evolve. Other people just want to keep going through the same thing because they don't want to learn. But yeah, all right. Next,
And I do believe that, yes, that's true. Yes, absolutely.
yeah. All right. So we're gonna hit the next question. How do you believe How do you believe love evolves over time, especially in a long-term relationship?
So I think a lot of people, there is a difference in, I want to start with talking about the difference between being in love and loving somebody. So I
Okay.
think love is something that's everywhere, and I find it very annoying when people equate love with just romantic love.
Mm,
I get really annoyed, because I think love is just a one universal force that takes different forms depending depending on the kind of relationship you. Let's say I'm romantically involved with somebody,
mm,
and there is sexual interaction also.
right.
Then the love takes a different form, but it's a universal force that you have. I have my child. It's the same love, but it takes a different kind of form. If you see, the
Right.
fundamentals are the same. When you love somebody, you want them to be happy, you want them to grow, you want to nurture them, you want to protect them. The fundamentals of love are same in
Mm,
every single relationship that you have. So there is a difference in being love and loving somebody.
mm,
So I think what the evolution primarily what happens is what people call as the honeymoon phase.
right.
And I think that is in even in friendships you have that.
Right.
When you're
Of
getting
course.
to know each other, it's so exciting and everything, just like you're curious and you want to know stuff,
Hmm.
right? So I think being in love is about the sexy stuff, the good looking stuff, the pretty stuff. Oh,
Right.
you dress so well. Oh my God, you're smelling so good. You're so funny. You're so intelligent, and you're so interesting, and and we are just trying to be this person that the other person likes.
Hmm.
I think loving someone is when you start to settle, when all that everything just settles. You know, all the sprinkles, stardust, everything starts to just like settle. And love is something that when you can see each other as who we really are, and then when you can accept the person as they are, and you still want the same things for them. I think that is evolution of love, that especially between a man and a woman. I find it very interesting that the moments the shit starts to come out, right? The, as we call, the shadow side, the dark side, we all have it, right? Starts to come out. And then you're suddenly like, where does the love go then? Poof. If it's not love, you were in love because that was about the sexy stuff. It's about attraction, it's about stimulation, it's about being infatuated. It's all of that stuff.
Right.
I always tell people, you want to look at what really love is and how it's supposed to evolve with another person. Look at how you love your child. They mess up, they do things that you don't agree with, you don't like, they frustrate you, they annoy you. but the only thing that you think about is you accept them, you protect them, you nurture them, and you're still there, and you still try and make it work. You
Right.
don't, at least the world that I know there are all kinds of world, but at least the world that I come from, which is my world created by me, and that is how I define love, is that then you see everybody the way they are, you still want the best for them, and you still continue to contribute in their growth in the way they want. So this whole thing where people, I find it very interesting, people that want to be like clones of each other. Why do you want to be clones of each other?
Yeah.
Why aren't you watching the same shows? So a
Yeah.
love then, very interestingly, love in a marriage becomes like doing same thing together all the time. If you're one of those people, great, works for you. It's a different kind of a equation dynamic, great, works for you. But love could also be like evolve into something that, now I used to like that before, I like this before, and I want to do this before, and the other person, the feelings don't change, the emotions don't change. You
Well,
still enjoy the same person the same way, accepting that this person is evolving, growing, doing different things, and they probably want to let's say once you're together, you want to do everything together initially, first 3 4 years.
right.
Let's say now you are like, now you're settled, and there is security and there is stability, okay, the surety that comes with being together, and now you understand. Let's say the husband wants to go for a trip with the boys, or wants to have a solo trip. Love then also has to evolve in a way where you're like, go, cool, you'll enjoy that, go ahead, have fun, do it. So I think love has to evolve in a way where you need to remember. Oh, glad I can think of it right now, because I wanted to talk about it. I think love has to evolve in a way that you need to remember that you're with the same person, but you're not with the same person. You are not the same person that you met 10 years back, 5 years back, 2 years back.
Right.
People keep changing,
Evolve.
and you have to continue to love the different versions. As they say that being with somebody is like watching thousand rebirths and thousand deaths.
Right.
Are you able to hold hands and be there for each other, have each other's back, be affectionate, caring, loving, supportive during all the deaths and rebirths?
True. Yep.
So it's very loosely thrown, but if people really understood love, uh, I I don't think so they'll be able to talk about all of this. Let's say you somebody tripped, you are walking and somebody tripped, and your immediate reaction is, "Are you all right? Are you okay?" Where is that coming from? That's love. So I think love is a universal force, is creation, and are you able to continue to create a relationship while the other person is the same person but continues to be a different person?
Sure.
So I think it has to evolve like that. Otherwise, then I feel then the relationship dies and you don't even know.
Yep. And
There's no
that happens.
relationship and you don't even know.
It happens. So Alex wrote, the word love for me is a figure of speech. It's conditional. Love is for hope. Love is for hope. Loyalty is a happening. Loyalty is reoccurring. Second nature. What love really means. Loyalty.
I'm loving her comments, and I love that she's so involved and
Yeah.
engaged.
Alex, he's pretty engaged. He's one of the fellow writers, poets, and author too. Uh,
Ah, lovely.
so I have a question for you. So I've seen this and I experienced this myself. Usually, when people go into in a relationship, one person usually ends up changing themselves to to accumulate to satisfy the partner. So let's say the partner likes this and that, like that. This person ends up changing their whole self completely and changing themselves completely, but at the same time they lose themselves in the process. And I think that's where love fades away. But is that really love? Is that really love from the beginning, or is that? I
It's,
mean,
no,
I
it's
don't think it's
not, and
love.
I'll tell you why.
Uh-huh.
And I think it might just trigger a lot of people,
That's all
because
right.
it's contrasting. I wouldn't say it's contradictory. It's contrasting. So for me, where I come from, and when I say come from from my mental emotional space, I think love is about the other person for sure. So for me, love is about what can I do for you, not that what you are doing for me. But in that process, I think we forget that your self love and the love for the other person has to run parallelly. And a lot of times when people change themselves completely for the other person, it is not coming from a place of love. It is coming from a place of wanting to be accepted, the fear of being abandoned, the fear of not having that person or that ecosystem you have with that person, or losing support. And a lot of us, Carlos, grew up in homes where there was performative love.
Right.
You perform a certain way, and that is when you get love from your parents. So, very interestingly, that's why I say your answers are in your history. If
Right.
you come from a place where you had to be a certain version, a certain person to be loved, to be accepted.
And you
Now
end up doing the
you're
same
the
thing
good,
in the future.
yeah, you're the good kid, you're gonna get all of this. Oh, you're not fitting into your parents' expectations, ideas, definitions. They will withdraw love, they will withdraw support, you'll be punished.
Right.
So people learn it early on that to continue to have, and we are social relational beings, we can't survive really alone. We actually really can't survive alone. We are not wired like that. That's not possible. So to have connection, or let's say that's something that looks like connection. To have connection, to have that security of connection, that somebody is there perceived, I would use the word perceived, the perceived security of connection, to continue to have that love, that support, and that niceness around, people end up changing them into something that would continue to provide them the ecosystem, the perceived love, the perceived support, the perceived connection. While in truth, none of that could be true. And I'm not judging anyone, because I'll tell you why, because I am a parentified eldest daughter. So I knew that, and from a golden child, I became a black sheep. So I know that, and I was showing up like that in relationships, that whatever I bring to the table is what makes me valuable and worthy. And if I don't do that, I have to be there for people all the time. If I don't do that, I have to shift. Oh, this is what they like. I want to be this person, what they like. So somebody would say something, and then I'm like, oh, I have to continue to be this person so that I continue to receive their friendship, their love, their affection, or whatever. If I don't, what if? So I think it's coming from an unhealed place. It is
Right.
coming from a wounded place when people completely and then we cry and say, oh my god, I changed myself completely for you. And you're not even noticing. You're not doing it out of love for that person. You are doing it out of fear. You are doing it out of a wound that you are carrying for so long.
Yep.
And that is completely okay if you become aware of it. And when you become aware of it, I think
But
that is when you can start working. And it is a fear of not being liked, fear of not being accepted, fear of abandonment that makes us do so much shit that I can't even tell you. And not just the work that I've done with people. So I'm not a psychologist, I'm not a psychiatrist. I don't have certifications. All that I'm talking about today, all that I put out on my page, is every single thing that I have recovered from, I have healed, I've accepted about myself. I've called out my bullshit like anything. And those
right.
has been very, very painful years. Even now, sometimes that happens when I have to call out my own bullshit. So people can do that, but you have to start accepting that that's where you're coming from. And it's not your fault. Our parents didn't know any better. If they knew
And
better, they would have done better.
right.
So they themselves are unhealed, wounded. So that's what generational trauma and passing on goes on, right? So they passed it on to us, but we can be the chain breakers. And if you love somebody, you have to also accept, because we are never taught. Being a martyr, sacrificing yourself, I think is becomes the definition of love. That you have to sacrifice yourself. That is the only way you show that you love somebody. But that is
That's
not
bullshit.
true. Nobody teaches us that our hearts are so big We are such amazing, magnificent beings that we can hold love for ourselves and love for the other person also. It can run parallelly. You don't have to sacrifice one for the other. And
Right.
loving yourself means respecting yourself and doing away with the fear of being abandoned or being liked, and then doing things because of that fear. It's okay to stand up for yourself and say that I like this, you like this, you're like this, I'm like this, and who is to say that we can't coexist?
Right.
Who is to say that we can't love each other like that? Then how about just AI is rampant these days, make clones of each other and then just be with them? Why do you need another person? Why do you need contrast in your, and you can't do away with contrast. That's how you grow. Contrast is through which you go. That's why we are on this planet called Earth, because it's a school of contrast and duality. That's the only way you grow.
Yep.
So that's completely okay. But I think everything then again boils down, regarding this, everything boils down to seeing and accepting that you're wounded and you need healing. And
Right.
that's completely
And you can't depend.
okay.
And you can't depend on somebody else to do it for you. You have to do it yourself.
Yeah, people can hold your hand. People can love you, support you, and be there and hold you when you're crumbling and when you can't falling apart. The work has to be done by you. You have to be ready to own it, and most people don't, because I mean we have really poor and very fragile self-worth, because I don't know why it's so difficult for people to say that I fucked up. I messed up. I was shitty here. I
Ego.
was,
The ego.
again, that also boils down to acceptance. If I accept all this about myself, I'm going to lose something that is of,
Mhm.
my yesterday's video was about this. So one way we say, don't bother about what people say. And the second, in the second sentence, we go in the same breath, don't judge me. People
Right.
are always
Uh,
going to judge you. You have a problem when
it's
you
part
are
of life.
judged in a way that you don't like.
Yeah, it's part
And
of
that's
life. You're
okay.
gonna be judged.
It's all right. You can just show up the way you are. And then people who want to judge you in a way that aligns with who you are, they'll judge you like that. And there are people
Hmm.
who will judge you in a way that doesn't align with who you are. That is also okay.
Yep. All right, Alex Rowe. Accept yourself. Change. Accept yourself. Change what you don't like about you. And if you love someone, teach them that. This way, when you two separate, you won't apart. You just move.
Oh my
Right? I'm assuming you
God.
just move on.
This is beautiful, Alex. I'm just falling in love with your comments. This is just beautiful. And she's so right.
Yeah. All right. So next question. What practices can couples adapt to maintain commitment and connection during challenging times?
Okay, so I think the only thing uh, that can save a relationship of two people who truly love each other is not commitment. I think it's devotion. I
Mm,
think I think we need devotion, because devotion is about faith.
right.
It doesn't mean that you're blind.
You,
You're ignoring things and you're accepting bullshit and you're accepting toxicity and abuse or whatever. I think devotion is a very, I think it's a beautiful magical world.
okay,
You need to
devotion
be
to the person or devotion to the relationship?
devotion to the relationship, and because you are a contributor to the relationship, devotion to
Right.
yourself. This is a challenge, and I have to accept that I have a part to play here. Whether
Right.
it's a challenge that has come up now or whether it's a challenge that's a pattern, I have a part to play in this. It's very easy to be externally focused and say that it's natural also. I don't blame it. You can feel like you have wronged me, you're going wrong here, completely all right. But when you are two people together, maybe it's one person who's completely wrong. But if you are with somebody who does want to make the change, you can't help people who don't want to change. But there is somebody who's trying, and the person can have relapses. It's okay to have
Right.
relapses. It's okay to flounder and and falter and fuck up and mess up from time to time. It's all right, as long as the other person is trying. So when there's a challenge that comes, I think devotion is what saves you. Devotion is what helps you. You know that I need to rise above and see it from a place where I don't just see myself. I just don't see what's hurting me, what's important to me. I'm also from that point being able to see how what is hurting this person, how is this person hurting, and what is the part that I can play in resolving this, uh, making it better, and also how can I help this person in whatever area the person feels that he or she is struggling, having a block, and showing up. That is why people say love is a choice. It's a verb. To continue to show up. A lot of times when something happens, a lot of people, the distance that comes. Sometimes you want to take time, but if you're taking too much time, if you're not ready to have the hard conversation, if you're not able to be kind in those moments. So for me, I think it's very important to operate from kindness and grace. You may be angry as hell, but sometimes you need your rage. Sometimes you really need to rage.
Right.
That's sacred for me. I don't think so. I think anger is important, necessary, and so is your rage. But first, can you try and be in a place where you come from a place of grace, where you come from a place of kindness, use a certain language, be curious. I think curiosity is the key word here. Be curious, ask questions, and it has to go for both the people. It can't work single-handedly. If one person is doing it, it's again not going to work. Both the people are kind, both the people are empathetic, and both the people are curious enough to find out and understand that this is not me versus you. This is us versus the problem, or us
You
versus
ma-
the
you want
issue.
you want to hear my part of it? I think I agree. You know, devotion plays a role in it, and devotion to in a relationship, of course. My take on it is there's one main thing to me. I could be wrong. I mean, everybody's free to have their own opinion, but to me, it's understanding. If there's no understanding, nothing will come together as glue. You know, as you have to understand. So even if the other person is wrong, whatever, I mean, understanding is the main part of the whole thing because to me because you could be in a disagreement, but if you are evolved more than the other one, or you have a little bit more understanding, you're able to just sit back and listen and to let them vent and see things from a different point of view, you know, from their view. Because sometimes you could be wrong too.
Yes.
You know, sometimes it's not just is your you could be wrong too, and it's sometimes you just gotta like sit back, try to understand them, and try to listen. You know, see things from their view. Maybe there's something that you missed in the whole thing. Maybe like, oh man, you know what? Maybe if I do this way, it could work out too. But to me, the main key is understanding.
I
That's just me though.
totally agree, and that's why I said you need to accept and acknowledge you have a part to play. Maybe you probably have a blind spot here. You probably think right now or feel right now that I don't have a part to play. I didn't do anything wrong. But and even if you not actively had a part in that, may and a lot of times, Carlos, the issues are like now I know that there is nothing called overreaction as such, because there are some people who do not have the capacity and the tools to understand that this is all pent up. It's coming from your past. I have come across very violent people. I have
Hmm.
come across a lot of destructive rage from other people, and that time it used to hurt me a lot. And but now when I understand things, and I understand you're not this angry and so hateful because of this incident,
All right, it's from the past.
this doesn't even warrant this reaction, but it's coming from a lot from your past that's unresolved,
It,
that you haven't worked on, that you haven't
it triggers
faced, you
now.
haven't acknowledged. And that is why I mean, I keep telling people, now it's thrown around so loosely that it saddens me also. Trauma healing, this, that also. And if, it's a painful, it's a lot of times ugly, uh, heartbreaking thing to go internal, look at yourself, and see that this is what I have unresolved and I need to resolve it, so that not just I can be healthy holistically, but I think I can also show up as a version, as this person in the world, in my relationships, where I'm able to create something. Because for me, love is creation.
Right.
And Alex, I hear you. I honestly, we have never met, we have never interacted, but I totally get why devotion is a word that you could feel like it probably doesn't work. But that's interesting, right? We have different perspectives, and there's always something new to think about. So I would just share briefly. For me, devotion is a combination of a lot of things. Uh, which is then you put in a bit of commitment, then you put perseverance, then you put a bit of empathy and kindness and stuff like that. uh, so yeah, I think for me it's just something that's higher, that's your higher self. I think for me devotion is something that's your higher self, that's able to see things which is beyond your ego.
Mm.
So for me, it's
Okay.
so like I'm devoted to my son. I'm devoted to this work that I'm doing, and I'm devoted to my marriage, to make sure it works in a way where it is healthy, happy, and growth inducing for me and for my husband as well. So when you are devoted, I think you also you also work on yourself. For me, I think devotion is something that's bigger, that's more enormous. It's about your higher self, and then you tap into it, and then how do I say that? I think it makes you a bit objective, because I know when somebody says devotion, it's like it feels like an emotional thing. It feels a lot to a lot of people. It can borderline sound obsession or something. But
Obsession,
yeah,
attachment. Yeah. Okay.
yeah. So, but I think for me, devotion is operating from that higher self that is above the matrix, that shoots up beyond your ego
Right.
and is able to see things that otherwise are blocked.
Okay. Good explanation. I like that. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. So next, well, I have the last question for you. In your opinion, what are the key ingredients for a lasting and fulfilling partnership? Key ingredients.
Respect,
Mm-hmm.
kindness,
Okay.
support, support in not just where you are at, but support also in how the other person is growing.
Okay.
Acceptance. So again, the word is acceptance. Uh, Fun,
Yeah.
to be
A lot of
lighthearted,
people. A lot of people
fun.
miss that part. Fun. You guys
Yes,
have fun.
so it's all that serious kind of stuff, that deep stuff. I think it's very important to be childlike, be silly, be goofy, and not wanting to be this sometimes sexy, sometimes perfect, something desirable version.
Hmm.
Be silly, be goofy, uh, have a lot of fun, laugh a lot, and another thing is, don't take yourself so seriously all the time.
I tend to fail on that, so I
People,
I'm taking this, and I'm just
and
saying
then
I'm that.
then the ego gets involved, and to remember that it all, people think, oh, it's all some spiritual nonsense. It's not. That's the essence of life.
Right.
And love, and to remember, I think if I have to end it with that, I think love is about another person, but not at the cost of your own self.
You
Remember
see,
that.
in my old days, before I was who I am now, the way I loved was, I was committed to the relationship. I was driven by ego, so I was a very egotistical asshole. So I'm not gonna lie about it. But I was driven by ego, so everything had to be a certain way, perfect, and do everything has to be aligned. And I didn't have fun because it's just I was very goal driven. I wanted to have this and this amount of years, and I was always like that. So if 1 year I had to be a manager, in 2 years I had to be an area manager, in 3 years I had to be a district manager, in 4 years I had to be in a marriage, and so on. But what happened was, you don't have control of everything, and I had to learn that the hard way. You don't have control of everything, and you definitely, as good. as good as you are of a manipulator or whatever you want to call it, or ambassador or whatever in life, you can't control somebody else. And that's the problem. You can't control somebody else and you can't control a relationship. And I learned that the hard way, and it took me a divorce to learn that, sometimes you just have to let it go and enjoy life the way it is. And, you have you have to let things be the way it's meant to be, and you have to learn to love from the depths of your soul. And but before that, you have to learn how to love yourself first, because that's the main ingredient. If you don't love yourself, you can't expect somebody else to love you. If you don't respect yourself, you can't expect somebody else to respect you. If you treat people like shit, somebody else gonna treat you like shit. And I took it bit me in the ass, but I learned. I learned.
I'm glad it did. And I get you because I have been a perfectionist, and perfection has its root in shame. I was carrying a lot of shame around me about my body, about who I was, about my acceptance. And
See,
it's very interesting the contrast we are and how we live, right? Everybody thought she's the epitome of confidence and everything. Deep inside, was carrying so much shame. And when you drop that, when you learn to start dropping that, I don't want to be perfect anymore. I don't care how whether you're perceiving me as she's showing up perfect in this moment, even
I was
context.
I was that person. I didn't give a fuck what people thought about me. Like I don't care. Like, you know what, you're a piece of crap to me. Just keep walking. I was like that, and yeah, it's crazy. And I thought I met somebody that was like that too, but the problem was that she saw how I was, and she was attracted to that. So she became that to for me to get into the relationship with me. And as time went by, you know, I'm talking about her part now, from what I know, from what she told me at the end. And as time went by, is like when we actually ended everything, and when she broke up and we separated, we got divorced. She told me, she was straightforward. She goes, I changed. I changed my whole lifestyle. I changed who I was just to make you happy,
Wow.
and you can't see that. And my words to her was like, why were you trying to make me happy? Like, I liked you the way you were. Like, you should have been yourself. You didn't have to change for me. No, you made me do this. I didn't make you do nothing. You made yourself do that stuff. I know it's just me. Like, I didn't tell you don't do this, don't do that. The only thing I said was, when you with me, you have to look and be presentable and respectful. That's it. So, you live and learn. So, yeah.
See, that's what I'm saying. There's a distinction. People don't. It's nuanced. People have the power to affect you. Always, you'll even strangers will affect you because we're interconnected.
Mm.
But people cannot make you do anything.
Right,
That's a decision that's with you. You can be affected, but what you do with how and to what degree you're affected, that's on you. That's not on
right.
somebody.
And I told her that myself, but I would take a lot of the blame too, because now I know who I was, and I wouldn't even want to be with me that own me, me right now. But it takes a lot of I don't know. I've always said it takes a lot of pain to the soul for somebody to awaken and see themselves for who they really are. And some people learn, and some people just keep getting that blow to their soul, and pain, 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 because they don't learn. You know,
And pain has a purpose. I don't imagine if we are, I
pain,
mean, it's very interesting. We
pain is
wouldn't
the
take
universal.
notice if it's not
Pain
hurting.
is the
We don't take
universal.
notice if it's not hurting.
But pain is the universal language.
Exactly,
Everybody
yes.
everybody been through it. Everybody felt it. Everybody experienced it, and everybody can relate to it.
Alex has some lovely things to say about you.
Oh, Alex, sorry, I was all into this. I've always admired your transparency, calls. Meeting you has changed me as a man, for sure. I appreciate you, brother, man. I really do. Same way. Why were you trying to make me happy? I feel and can so relate to that.
We are just so glad if we are able to do that, sending you a lot more love.
Yeah, I did a live with Alex 2 months ago when I released my book. I don't know what happened with that the live, but yeah, we did a live and we was talking about the book stuff. And we could have kept on talking far more longer, but it's just we was in a different whole time thing, and he had to do stuff. I had to do stuff. So, but we'll eventually do another one soon.
But Alex, I absolutely loved your comments, all of them, and I'm taking away something from them. So thank you for being the teacher today. There's something I'm taking back today, and I'm going to think about it.
This has definitely been a learning experience for me. I do appreciate having you here, and I appreciate you saying yes to when I asked you. I love the questions and how we answered, how we got into different topics, and how we actually answered questions that I didn't even ask because you already answered them. So I appreciate that. I really like this. It's
I'm
more. It was really it's uh, it's my. It feels like my territory. I love talking about this stuff.
Yes, yes, me too. And like I said, I'm devoted to it. I absolutely love it. I think my life won't have meaning if I can't be there for other people, can't share what I've learned. And Carlos, I started by saying that I'm a huge fan. Um, Through your work, who you are, how the vulnerability, the beauty that you have inside, it shows, it transpires, and I think it's beautiful. And also, I want to mention that you were one of the very few big accounts who started following me back when I was like just like a tiny, teeny baby
How
account wise on Instagram.
how long ago was
And
that? That was like 5 years ago, right? Seven, six
yeah,
years ago.
4 years
4 years.
ago, yes. Yeah, so for me, uh, so I have a lot of respect for that because it tells you the kind of person somebody is. Because there's somebody who sees value in you and doesn't care what your social media standing is, and
Oh
then they go
yeah.
and do it. And I was so excited to just also meet you like this. I hope someday I come there or you come to India and we get to meet in person and just talk a lot more. I'm so happy and so grateful for you to have asked me to do this. It's made my day, and I have so much gratitude for the conversation
Well,
today. So much
ho
gratitude.
hopefully it's not the first and last. Hopefully it's the first and
Yes,
many more to come.
yes,
So,
yes,
you know,
yes.
as I'm doing this transition to go into YouTube, I'm doing this and then gonna save this here and then put in YouTube. And like I was telling you before, I'm trying to get the whole YouTube things set up, which I'm almost there. So I think the next one is gonna be on YouTube.
Yes.
I just have to I have to use this different platform so I can do it live on YouTube at the same time live in Instagram and on Facebook.
Please,
So it'll be
because
fun.
I am technologically challenged. I
Well,
don't know what to
it,
do
it
how.
it's taken me months to listening to freaking YouTube about people talking about how to do it and all this. Oh my God, so it's crazy the stuff you have to do with the audio and the video and combine it together into video. Oh, it's just a lot of stuff. So there's a software platform that actually does everything for you. So it's gonna be much better. It should help out more, and I should
Alex,
have a better view here.
yes, yes, that's for sure. Alex, thank you so much for being here. I'm sending you a lot of love and a big bear hug because that's what I do from India. And I hope you just have a beautiful, beautiful life and you continue to grow, and that never stops for you.
Definitely, Alex. Thank you, and thank you again for being here. I appreciate it, and we'll talk in the next one.
Yes.
All right.
All right, Carlos, I think you go and catch some sleep. I'm sure you've had a long
Oh,
day.
I'll be up all
And
night. So that's
ah,
just how I am.
okay.
So,
Okay.
all right.
But you, okay, then you have a beautiful night.
You have a beautiful day. Thank you. Have
Yes,
a
thank
happy
you,
weekend because it's Friday over
Carlos.
there.
All right, sending you also a lot of love and a big bear hug. Take care of yourself. Yeah, bye bye.